Hi, my name is Chris, and this is my wife Elizabeth, and we are from Spartanburg, South Carolina, and we are standing here on the porch at Stillwater's Youth Ranch in Kentucky, and we are excited to tell you what God is doing in our lives and to bring us to this place and time. And I'm gonna turn it over to my wife to for her to tell us the story.
Um, so I guess it all starts my 10th grade year when I came to Kentucky with First Baptist Spartanburg with their youth, and I came to the hills of Kentucky. And when I got here, I fell in love with the landscape and also the people. And I went back home, and through circumstances did not end up coming back to Kentucky until I think it was 2007, the summer of 2007, and I came as a mom. And when I came as a mom, it changed the perspective that I had on the area. I saw the needs that were here that I didn't see as a youth. But that also gave me a new love for the area of Kentucky. So I went home, and Chris asked me when I got home if I was going back the next year. And I said no, I wasn't going to go next year unless he went with us. And he said no. And so that began a almost 10-year journey of praying that God would either change my desire to come back to Kentucky, or he would give Chris the desire to come to Kentucky. In June of 2015, our oldest son had just completed his 4th year of coming to Kentucky through Kentucky Missions, and he had just graduated high school. And we were at our service that we have after we come home from Kentucky, and one of the leaders asked me if I was going to be going the next year. And he asked every year, and every year I would say no. But this time I told him to go ask Chris. And just knowing Chris was going to say no, I told him to ask Chris anyway. So he asked Chris, and Chris said yes. So June of 2016 was the very first year that we came as Kentucky mom and dad to a van full of kids from Spartanburg up to Kentucky. So we came that year. We fell in love with the area. We fell in love with several families and 2 amazing churches. We fell in love with the culture here and the landscape, and it put a desire in Chris's heart to return over and over and over again, that, as I told him before, he would never know until he came what that felt like. So we continued to come to Kentucky through Kentucky Missions with Spartanburg, and never really knowing what that could turn into. So in June of 2018, it would have been our 3rd year coming. We were asked by Matt, a guy in our group, to ride out to a property. And it just so happens that the property that he asked us to ride out to was the property we are now standing on. We pulled into the property down where the driveway comes up at the back of the house, and there were 3 concrete walls and a concrete floor, and that was it. And the story was told to us of the vision that Steve Smith had, that God had given to Steve Smith, to build a youth ranch on this property. And so we're sitting there and we're listening to him tell this story, and we're thinking that it all sounds very nice, but we're not real sure how we fit into this. And I was kind of hoping that it was just that we were going to pray for the property. And so Matt gave us a picture of what the floor plan was going to look like for the ranch. And he sent it to me on my phone. I looked it over for just a few minutes and put it away. and didn't pull it back out until the next week when we were back home in Spartanburg. I pulled it out while I was at home alone, and I looked at the picture, and I began to tweak it, to edit it. I moved walls and doors and windows and basically changed the entire floor plan to be a certain way. And I prayed over that floor plan, and I said, Lord, if this is where you want us to be, it's going to have to look just like this. And I didn't tell a soul. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell Matt. I didn't tell anybody. God was the only one that knew what my thoughts were. So we didn't really talk about it for a whole year, and we came back in June of 2019, and we were at free time, and Matt asked us if we would want to meet with Steve Smith, and I said no, that I didn't know of any reason why I would need to meet with him. But Matt said, well, let's just meet with him anyway. So we met with him in the parking lot at Union College during our free time in June of 2019, and instantaneously felt a connection with him. I could see definitely that God had put the vision in Steve's heart, and that it was a calling that Steve had been called to, and really felt connected with him and felt like we were definitely going to be a part of the ministry in some way. Again, thinking probably prayer. So he asked me if I wanted to see the floor plan. And I said no, that I'd already seen it. And he said, well, that's strange, because a lady in our church was given a vision for the floor plan, and she drew it out. And so I said, okay, I'll look at it. And as I started to unroll it, it was actually the blueprint. As I unrolled it, I could see every single thing in that blueprint was exactly where I had put it in the picture that Matt had sent to us. And for once in my life, I was speechless. I did not know what to think. I didn't know what to say, because nobody knew that except God. And so I rolled it back up, and I handed it to Steve, and I said, that looks nice. And that was it. And it wasn't until the following week, when we were back home in Spartanburg, sitting on our back porch, that Chris came home from work, and I told him I needed to talk to him. And so I told him the story of the picture on my phone and the year before, saying to God that I would go if it looked exactly like that. And it looks exactly like that. And so that was our first moment that we realized God was calling us to something bigger than we ever realized. And of course, there was a moment where he looked at me like I was crazy and said, why did you do that? And I said, well, I didn't think God would actually do it. And I didn't. I didn't think that God would actually do it, but he did. And so that fall, Labor Day weekend, we came back to Kentucky with Matt to come and work on the house here. And we brought our three of our four children with us. None of them knew the plans that we knew God was calling us to. We worked on the house all day on Saturday, and on Sunday afternoon we came back to the house and they prayed over the house. Matt had them find a spot in the house and pray. And one of our holdups the whole entire time that we were talking and praying through coming to Stillwater's Youth Ranch to be house parents, one of our holdups was our daughter. She was at the time 14, and she had just made cheerleading for our local high school. And that was something that she had wanted to do her entire life, and she had worked very hard to make the cheer squad. And so she had at that time just made it, just finished the summer training, and we were about to head into the whole season of football games and cheer competitions, and we were all very excited about that. But we knew that there was no way Catherine would leave what we had there to come here. And so that was our biggest thing was, Lord, if that's what you want, it's going to have to be after Catherine graduates. And so on that Sunday, they were told to go and find a place to pray. And Catherine walked into the downstairs of the house here and began to pray, but felt God calling her upstairs onto the top floor. And so she came up onto the top floor, and where now there are doors, she walked through the doors onto the back porch, and she burst into tears. And she cried and cried because she felt like the Lord was telling her she was home. And I was not able to be there with them that day when they were here at the house, but when we got back together, she about knocked me over to tell me the story of what had happened when she was here. And she said, Mom, I don't want to leave. And that was God's way of telling us that we were doing what we were supposed to be doing and to let Him take care of all the rest. Because He was changing Catherine's heart, and He was giving her the desire to be here as well. And this was before she even came for Kentucky Missions herself. So we went back home and we agreed to pray for 30 days, to commit to pray for 30 days over being house parents before we gave the board or anyone any kind of answer. And about 15 days into our prayer time, our 30 days of prayer over being house parents, our church had a week-long service that was about impact, and it was talking about missions. And every time that we met as a church, there was something going on that had to do with missions. And every single time we met, Chris and I both realized and felt like we were being pulled and told consistently over and over again that we were doing what we were supposed to be, and that God was pointing us, we were walking the right way, we were going in the right direction, and that God was all in this. And so at the end of the week, we had a service on Sunday night that was culminating the entire week of missions. And during that service, we signed a card saying that we were willing to go. And so that began an open conversation with the missions pastor at our church, and he began to guide us and help us through all of the things that we needed to do to get ourselves ready. Over the course of 10 months, we have watched God do countless numbers of things to prepare us and get us ready, all from selling our home in 48 hours with 20 people coming to see it and 9 offers, to helping us get our entire house packed up, to finding a perfect little apartment for our 2 boys to be able to live in Spartanburg, and arranging all of the details that needed to happen in order for that to take place. But then an even bigger God story was when we were here in June for Kentucky Missions 2020, and we stayed at Clear Creek Bible College. And through the week, we got to know the people of the college and the people on the campus there, and we fell in love with the area. And crazy set of circumstances, God allowed us the opportunity to live on campus at the Bible College. And so on August the 1st, we moved in to the campus there, and they are graciously allowing us to rent a home there and for as long as we need. And so we need to get this house finished so that we can move here and begin the ministry that God has for this house. And so we're going to put a link in the comment section that'll link to how you can support us, because during our first year we are self-supported, and so we have several different ways that you can support us. We also need a lot of prayer, so we will take all the prayers that you can give. If you're willing to commit to pray for us, just send us a note and let us know that you're praying. We can give you the mailing address for that if you want to send us a note through the mail or email, any of those things. But we will also link in there the ways that you can help us financially us personally, but then also we will put a link in there for how you can help out Stillwater's Youth Ranch itself, so that you can help be a part of what is happening right here in southeastern Kentucky at Stillwater's Youth Ranch, and just help get this house finished. We've still got HVAC that is about to go in starting on Monday. They're going to be putting in the septic tank this coming in the next 2 weeks, I believe. And then after that, we're going to need people to come and help with painting and trim and all kinds of things that'll be needing to go on inside the house that we can use volunteers for. So there will be lots of ways that you can help us coming up very soon, and we look forward to getting to see everyone and seeing who will be able to help us get this thing done.